All right. So we're going to clarify a few things for the timeline here because I know I've bounced around a little bit, guys. My apologies, brain injury, but I'm sure you'll deal with it if you're watching this. Previous to me going to the shelter in the psych ward, I had moved back home with my folks and I had taken my son with me. And I know typically the father having the kid isn't the norm, or very doesn't happen very often, but it was a unique situation. My baby mom's was going through her thing at the time, and there was already reported incidences of what she had done against me personally. So between that and her showing up absolutely obliterated to court, it ruined her chances for custody. But me being a young guy with a runaway record, known like admitted addict and all this other stuff, I had no chance. So I signed my rights to my parents. And that's why I was able to go and do my thing and admit myself. And I ended up at the shelter without him there, because I knew it would have been the best shot for him to have a stable home life with them versus the possibility of her coming after me for custody, because I wasn't set up yet. I was a young kid. I put aside what I wanted the most, which was to have him in my care every day and spend every day with him. And I traded that up for making sure that nothing would happen to him. Bouncing forward a little bit here, back to when I was in the shelter there, I do believe we were talking about how they advocated for me to get off the medication as well because it was zombieifying me. And I had done the CBT and DBT, started reprogramming myself, and they had helped me find an apartment nearby that I was at for a bit there. And once I was at the apartment and some stuff had flared up personally there, I ended up relapsing again, and it was really bad. I ended up getting into meth and hallucinogens pretty heavy there for a bit. I ended up having to leave my hometown eventually. It got so bad. That was the place, that apartment there was where some of those instances I was telling you about, like the guy digging at himself and people seeing shadow people and losing their minds. While I was there doing that stuff, that's where that happened. And I saw what it was doing to everybody around me. And as a formerly recovered addict at the time, I knew I was sliding down that path again. During this time, I separated myself from my son, and it was probably one of the hardest times there. But I knew that riddled with drugs and everything that I was doing, especially stuff I was doing, it came out in the sweat. So I couldn't be around him and him be safe, because I wouldn't want any secondhand transfer. So there was a good 6-8 months where I was all and going through the withdrawals again before I was back and involved. But I ended up moving towards the western side with some family to get away from all the shit I was allowing myself to fall back into. I withdrawed there in a safe space and cold turkey again, both times when I was 17 there and when I was 20. I ended up going cold turkey, and man, weeks of being sick and shaking, sweating and puking and ugh.
Yeah, cold turkey, guys, don't for any medication. Yeah, I know that firsthand with the antidepressants. Cold turkey, no, never good for anything.
It sucks, but I got out there, and thankfully the family member got me a job there at a Tim Hortons, which is like a local coffee chain for those who don't know. So I was a baker there for a bit. I started getting really active again. I was biking about 4 clicks to work, working 6 to 8 hour shifts, running around baking, being active in my community, hanging out with my some of my neighbors and getting to know them and their kids, and just being involved in the neighborhood. Bounced around there, did a couple jobs, tried to straighten myself up and get myself on the right path, and started getting more involved with my son again. And then I took a job at a paint shop 11 months in to working there. And I say that with that accentuation there because after 12 months, they would have had some real commitments to me. But since it was 11 months in when I got hurt, they got away with a lot. I ended up going to open up the paint shop, which was in a converted old warehouse. So it had a steel man door at the back. So it's unlocked, and I go in to go unlock, like start up for the day, right, and check and make sure everybody's in there. And somebody had left a bunch of folded down cardboard right in the doorway where you walk in. So I walk in, trip on that, smash my head off of the steel door, the steel push bar, break my rib off of a support beam by the door frame there. And then I hit my head again for a third time in like 30 seconds, because this is me falling and going through this. And then I hit my head again off of the cement and tile floor where the cardboard was, where I kicked it out and tripped from. Have you ever seen a bird hit a window and it's not dead, but it's just kind of sitting there like
yeah, reset. Like it slides and then starts shaking?
That was me for, my best guess is 20 minutes. They've already asked me, and that, like, this is all stuff that's already all documented with workers' comp anyways. My best guess is anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes that I was out and like that. And then I shook it off and tried working for another day or two after I told my safety representative what had happened. My boss at the time was in a chemotherapy, and everybody was working their maximum allowed hours to keep the store open. So I tried to push through because I thought I was okay. You know, I was feeling dizzy and like nauseous, and I was really like, I was sore, but I thought, okay, you know, you just had a heck of a fall, boy. Oh, you'll be all right. When I wanted to go to the doctors, my employer tried telling me to tell them that I got hurt outside of work, even though they knew that I got hurt at work. And then I went and got all checked out within like 2-3 days of getting that injury there. At this point, my coordination is going off. I'm losing my speech. I've fallen in like dizzy spells, like right on my face and at work. And that's what caused my safety representative, Lori, not going to say her last name, but Lori, I appreciate you. You're the only one that did anything proper at that corporation to make sure I got saw it and looked after.
Shout out to
Lori.
I
appreciate you. And she told me to go get checked out, and I was so concussed at the time. She reminded me, like, she was letting me know, like, hey, you don't owe the corporation anything. Don't let them get you to lie for them. Like, you were hurt here. I know you, like, we all know, right? So she helped provide support, because I don't know if anybody's ever had a concussion or a brain injury like what I have, but you're really dazed and confused, and you're not there. Like, by the time I saw the doctor, my coordination was off. My speech was slurred and very broken, and balance was all off. The eyes weren't reacting right to the light, everything, you know, like the whole deal. I had just got together with my fiance a week before this brain injury at the time. I got so bad, like I was basically a vegetable. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't dress myself. I was useless. I was puking mostly and dragging myself around crawling. And she moved into my family's little bedroom with me to take care of me for 6-8 months and rehabilitate my speech. And like, I've got a chronic disequilibrium disorder, which means that even though I'm sitting flat here, my brain registers at me as like bouncing up and down and going around in a big circle, like picture like being on choppy waters on a Ferris wheel. And that's what my center of balance, that's what's going on in my head all the time because of the damage and disconnect between my ear and my head from the injury.
Oh my God.
So that's why I was crawling and dragging myself around because I was so dizzy and disoriented that I couldn't stand up without toppling over. My friends at the time, I wouldn't play many games, but I would be in the Xbox party chats with them, and they helped me rehabilitate my speech and helped me get back in on it. They would tease me. It was a mixed group of guys and girls. They're always pushing me and to keep going even after busting me up. It helped me build up my confidence with talking and build up my ability to talk again. Like, I've got a chronic fatigue disorder that's associated with the brain injury, the chronic disequilibrium, a chronic pain disorder, chronic nausea and vomiting that's attributed to because of that disequilibrium and whatever, chronic fatigue, concussion-induced sleep disturbance, post-concussion syndrome, and constant migraines, light noise sensitivity.
When it comes to injuries to the brain or medications to the brain, guys, it's not a joke. Like, this is very serious. And wow, they better have compensated you a lot. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I've been kicked off for like 6 months. I fought with my doctor to let me go work because like I couldn't get on any social benefits, and WSIB cut me off. And I worked for, I think it was like 2-3 months. I pushed as hard as I could, and I made myself sick and ended up in the hospital again, useless, like I was right at the beginning of the injury. I don't have any legal representation, and I've been doing this all myself the whole time. So my appeal finally went through, and my doctor wrote me off, and he was like, no, I told you were going to get sick. Now you're sick again. I knew you had to make an income, but like, come on, dude. And I've been going to independent assessments all over the place, and they just told me that I'm stuck this way. After this happened in 2019, it's 2023 at the time of the recording. So it's been just under 4 years that I've been like this. And they deemed that I'm not going to get any better. I'm stuck like this. So the dizziness, the pain, the fatigue, the loss of my brain capacity. Oh, I also have processing and recall issues. Funny enough, took me a second to remember them. The irony.
Really?
I had no benefits for like 6 months while I was fighting everything there, but they reinstated me and everything's good now. We're going through the process of getting me all paid out there. This is the second clinic to say like, hey, we've put you through the ringer. You've seen all the specialists. We've done all the treatments. You're not getting any better. And that's a hard thing for, like, I've known this since about the first year because I haven't made any significant progress since about the first year after the injury. Like I sleep maybe 2 hours every 2 to 3 days. I got this, that's the sleep disturbance, the concussion-induced sleep disturbance, right? My brain isn't what it used to be. I can't remember everything all the time right on the spot like I used to, or, when people are talking to me, the processing, it's not that I don't hear somebody. I hear them. My ears work. It's that my brain's just like, when Homer Simpson has that little animation in his head, they go into the cloud and they do that little funny gesture. Like sometimes it's the monkey with the cymbals or it's the dancing duff can or whatever. Yeah, pretty much like that, where it's just like, we don't know enough about the brain to like fix anything that's wrong with me. Like I've been to like doctors that have confirmed all the conditions and disorders and done all the tests, but the brain either fixes itself or it doesn't. And like, thankfully I've recovered a little bit from a total vegetable to what I am now cognitively. Great improvement, but it's not even a sliver of what I was. And that's not I don't have half of my brain. I don't have access to it. I will have permanently forgotten more than I will ever remember and know, which is a total bummer. Like I'll never have the normal ability to navigate through the world or interact with people socially because of these disorders and these problems. But all I can do is try to cope and deal with what hand I've been dealt. I'm just happy not to be stuck bedbound, puking my guts out, useless to everybody again, like I was for like the first 8 months.
You've come a long way, for real. Even though I didn't know you for a while, I can tell you've come a long way. And it's ironic you said we don't know enough about the brain. You get the irony? Even
for the sleep, like because of the nature of my disorder, like my brain injury, we can't use a sedative for me because the sedative would numb and dull the receptors that are already struggling to stay active for me to normally function. So it's a worse trade-off. Like I could either be like totally zombified or just not wake up. Because I also have a very high metabolism. I have a past experience with drugs, so my drug tolerance is through the roof. They did a stomach scan to see if it was the disequilibrium disorder or something wrong with my stomach for the vomiting. They had me on anesthetic, like Vicodin or something at the time to put me out and do the stomach scope. I woke up not even 15 minutes later after the laughing gas and the Vicodin. And they were like, "You're awake?" And I was like, "Uh-huh." And I was like, "Can you turn the screen?" They asked me to stop talking. I got to see the inside of my stomach. It was cool. Just to give you an idea of how fast my body burns off drugs, right? So they know that it's in my medical record. So the kind of heavy sleep aid you would have to put me on would do more damage to my brain than help with the sleep. So I'm just in a situation where I'm just stuck with like this, and I'm learning how to be okay with it. I was really miserable and angry for a while there. Felt like it was something someone did to me versus just the reality of how things were and worked out. I can either curl up into a ball, be miserable and angry and upset, and what was me, I'm never going to be the same, or I'm never going to be the same, and this is what I got. Now, like, let's see what I can do. Right. And it's not the same. I've got the restrictions of a 60-year-old man at 28 years old. I used to be super active. Sports, biking, physical labor, jobs, everything. And now I've got 100-meter walking distance restrictions, 20-pound lift restriction. I can't use my brain actively for more than an hour at a time without burning myself out and having negative consequences, all recorded, all documented. That's my life. I got to play within these bounds and rules. I get 15 minutes of physical activity at a time before I have to take a break and figure something out. And I can either be pissed off and sad about it, or I can try to make the best of it.
Yeah, staying
positive. And it's not that it's easier. I enjoy it. Like, I'm in pain and agony and in amounts of pain where doctors tell me that I shouldn't be walking around. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing all the time. Right? I shouldn't be able to. Right? Even with just the disequilibrium disorder alone, most people can't figure out how to walk with that. I've learned how to lock myself into my hip, and I'm going to do hip damage. But it's either I get to learn how to walk, or I'm in a chair. And I ain't in a chair at 28. Are you f***ing with me?
I'm genuinely speechless. It's just, you've been through a lot, and even now, I just want to say, I know maybe a lot of people say this, or it can be hard to believe, but please just keep going and stay strong, because but we know ourselves what we're capable of doing, and I do believe things can get better, and to stay positive. And my final questions to you are, what do you want people to, like, what do you want to tell people? What do you...
I'm not really looking to get much out of it other than to hopefully share my story, because and hopefully somebody benefit from that. I know it's a really isolated and lonely feeling, especially when most of society doesn't even look at you or realize or recognize that you're there. You're looked over so much, especially with the homeless bit or the addiction or anything else, right? Just hope that I could give people a little bit of hope if they're going through that and struggling. There is a way out. Mm-hmm. If can make it out, y'all have no problem. I ain't nothing special.
You are.
Glad you think so, but I'm just some white guy. I'm not even fully white either.
That whole can of worms.
Hopefully inspire some people to want to change their situation, reach out for some help, and realize that there are people out there that'll care, that'll listen and be there.
It's true.
I'm not the only person that's going to be willing to hear you out and be there. I'm not saying everybody's going to. There's programs available. There's forums online like Reddit or Discord. Like, there's so many things, like most of the people I helped recover weren't people that I knew beforehand. There were people that ran into my life that just needed help. Hopefully motivate people to maybe be willing to show some of that love and care to those that are hurting, and maybe give some insight to what leads people there and what some of those people have gone through. Maybe make people understand why some of those people that could come out of it are as twisted as they are sometimes, or as hurt as they are. I don't mean twisted in any disrespectful way, but it twists you up inside, is what I mean. Like, I've been involved back with the kids since I got withdrawal. Like, I went through the withdrawal and sobered up and clean, and I've been active with him and whatnot, like 2, 3 times a week, and have him over at the house here. Honestly, it's just been mitigating and managing my symptoms and trying to remain productive. Like, I try to keep my house in order. I've been trying to start writing and baking a bit more and find things to do and enjoy, because I lost a lot of the ability to enjoy a lot of the things I used to pre-injury. I used to go mountain biking, hacky sack, football, basketball, da 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 da. Can't really do that now, right? So, just trying to adapt to the new lifestyle, the new change of pace, and trying to show some love and support where I can to those that are hurting.
Or like the fact you want to actually help people and do all this, it shows a lot. It really does.
Yeah, it's just motivated in a different way. And I've learned and had a lot of weird conversations with people that feel and know, and, on the opposite side of me, because I'm 2% of the population. Not many people are wired like me, and I've had some really understanding friends that I've had, you know, they've had questions for me too. And I've scared a couple of my friends with some of the answers and been able to reassure them, but they just can't imagine that my mind works like that, right? They can't imagine that actually enjoying, being an asshole and being wired to enjoy it. At the end of the day, it's a choice. Do I succumb and go, okay, this is what I enjoy and this is what's fun for me, and I do this all the time, maybe end up in jail or hurting a lot of people along the way? Or do you grab a hold of that and be like, well, it's not about me and my fun, and I like my freedom, and what's right seems to be tied up with my freedom. So let's go this path. I'm going to go this path. I might as well give it my all.
Thank you very, very much for sharing this. This was very, very long awaited, and I learned a lot of things today, and I'm sure all my viewers did as well. And it puts things more into perspective and shows that you can't judge a book by its cover. We don't know people's stories, so it's important to treat people respectfully. And I feel that way with anybody I've talked to on this channel. And yeah, always treat people kindly because you don't know what they're going through.
Fair enough, if you can, right? Like, most people are so caught up with just trying to keep a roof over their head and food in their own mouths that it's hard to show love and care for everybody else. But we're all struggling.
That's true. Thank you very much for being here.
Not a problem. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story here. Hopefully I'm able to help somebody out. I will link my contact details to Les if any of you guys need to reach out and you need somebody to listen. I'm just a stranger. I can't offer any professional help, but I've been through some shit and I'm willing to talk if you need it. All right, have a blessed day, guys.
Big thanks to Darkson again, and don't forget to check out the other interviews I did and show everybody some support and love. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.